Hello, everybody. It's Jason.
And it's Marnie. And today we have a very special guest with us, Julianne Buckle, who's our vice principal from Pleasant Hill Community School. Today is Tuesday, May the 5th, and it is actually the National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. And this is a very important day. And given right now, we can't come together in a gathering or with ceremonies, we just thought it's really important that we're going to honor the women and girls who've been murdered or missing and show kind of that we care and that we're aware and show a sign of solidarity and support. And Julianne, maybe you can talk a little bit more about how we recognize today at Pleasant Hill Community School, even though we're not at school.
Sure. Today I had the privilege of going into school, getting some students connected with some more technology. And I thought, since I was there, what I could do is hang a red dress in the window at the front of the school. So I hung the red dress, as Jason is showing you a picture now. And that's just to recognize the people that we know in our community who have had relatives who have been missing or murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. And so this is just an act that we can do to support our community and our families. I know that some teachers also shared out on their learning platforms an activity to make a red dress and hang it in your window, or if you do have a red dress, to hang it up in your window as well as wear red. So those are a few things that we've done at Pleasant Hill to commemorate today.
I think that that is such a beautiful way to have honored this important day within our community, so that our families that are walking by, you know, are seeing that we're still here, even though we're not all able to physically gather in our building, but that it shows that recognition hanging in our front window. So thank you so much, Julianne, for doing.
You're welcome. I just wanted to add that, you know, it's not something that's comfortable to talk about, and it brings a lot of sadness to people, but I have a quote in my head, and I've had it all year, from Dr. Verna St. Dennis. Some of you might be familiar with her work, but she had said, the truth that we can't talk about, or we don't talk about rather, is the truth we can't address. So it's times like these where it is a difficult conversation, it's really important to bring it forward.
You know, that picture is kind of haunting me, actually. You know, it just looks so stark. The school's empty, the school's dark, the school's cold, but yet that image in that window is real stark reality to, I think, what the rest of the school would look like. This kind of topic of missing and murdered women and girls is I'm pretty sensitive to it. In my work, I've encountered so many families and so many kids, so many little girls that have been affected by this particular issue, and growing up in families that have experienced, you know, that tragedy is just, it's really, really huge. And the impact that has on a family and upon kids and upon children is something that we do need to recognize, and we do need to talk about, don't we?
Absolutely.
It's particularly in a community, I think, where we do have a high First Nations population. It's allowing that conversations to start, which I think is, like you said, is so important. We can't heal until we first start to talk about it, can we?
And it's sort of taking those steps on a path of reconciliation, right? So it's important that we are recognizing and honoring and knowing that we do very much care about this issue, and we are very much aware of this issue. And I think that by hanging that today, even though we're not gathering in our schools, it's showing that we are recognizing, we are aware, we are very much thinking about our communities. And so I'm very grateful, Julianne, that you did that today. So thank you.
Well, I can't take the full credit. It wasn't just me. It was the whole staff and Dulcie. You know, we just had the idea, and I happened to be going to the school, so I hung it up. But it is on behalf. It's hung there on behalf.
Absolutely, absolutely, on behalf of all of us. But I just, you know, I just wasn't physically there, so I feel like even though we were part of the conversations, I guess, of having things happen,
Yeah.
to honor our community, just I just, it is a very emotional photo.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I guess when I took the photo, I didn't realize how much feeling is behind that. Just that simple dress hanging in the window, and just that can bring a lot of emotion forward for many of us.
You know, it's interesting. I think, you know, with all the sort of stuff that has happened in the last few years, you know, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, our understanding of residential schools and some of that impact, even the Missing and Murdered Indigenous, I'm not even sure what it's called anymore, committee. You know, we gain a little bit of understanding, but I think the whole issue behind many of those things is still kind of quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and you know, we work in educational system that is predominantly non-Indigenous, and so in many ways, it's up to us, alongside our Indigenous colleagues and students and parents and community members, you know, to bring to have the courage, I guess, to talk about missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people, because it's so important. Yeah. It's things that we need to be addressing and having conversations about, even though those conversations can be emotional and courageous in a sense.
No, they can be those difficult conversations, right? But those are the most important conversations to have. And I think during this week of mental health awareness and having difficult conversations, it's very fitting that we are talking about having courageous conversations and things that are emotional and things that are hard to talk about.
Yeah, and that theme of mental health, you know, that idea of connections and opening up the conversation really does fit into this conversation too. I mean, there is tragedy behind this issue in so many ways, in so many facets, that beginning to allow people to share some of their stories and to listen to those conversations and then make those connections. I think that's so important when we hear people's story, when we actually sit down and listen to them, the connection we can make to them, even if I don't have the experience, you know, that some of them have had, I can still understand through them. And I think for mental health, our mental health, for our society's mental health, making those connections and those conversations is really, really important for us as we move forward.
Well, it's through those conversations that we have some sense of healing, right? To move forward, we have to be talking about the things that matter most. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. For all of you out there who are watching this episode today, it's not too late to hang a red dress in your window or to change into red, just to honor, like we said, the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people in our current communities.
Yeah, and it's not an issue we should think about just one day a week, is it? Right?
Absolutely.
Every time I drive by the police station, I see the statue or the sculpture there, and I go, you know, that's an issue that plagues our society, and we need to ponder it. We need to keep the conversation going, but we do need to stop and recognize it today. I think that's great.
Thank you so much, Julianne, for coming on today and sharing with us this very important issue.
You bet. Yep. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everybody for taking a moment to recognize what today is.